with your main Chip Washington. When it comes to information, the main got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's the local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Chip got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. Real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And here we go on this Monday evening in the city. And yeah, it may feel like spring, but we are still in the throes of winter, ladies and gentlemen, although it got up to 72 degrees today. Can you believe that? It's going to be a very nice weather week. And Lola and I were talking right before I came on, and she said it on her show, and I'll say it again. It'll be in the 40s next week. Trust me. We're going from the 70s to the 40s, and those will be the highs next week. But we'll deal with that a bit later on. 6 o'clock straight up. Glad you are with us this evening. Always nice to know that you're out there breathing and taking us in for the next hour or so of this fine piece of radio programming. I am your program host. My name is Chip Washington. It is great to be here this evening. And we do have a good show for you tonight. We will get into all of that in just a moment. But speaking of a fine piece of radio broadcasting, which this show is, how do you get it? How do you find us? Well, it's not too difficult. It really is. Try to make things as easy as possible for you. Right now, we're live on 91.7 WYXR on your FM dial. You can also find us on the WYXR app. We are also on the TuneIn app, and we'll be live streaming tonight on Facebook Live. So if you want to check out the guests, you can do that as well. The show will post in another day or so, and when it does, you can find us a little later on this week on YouTube, if that is your thing. And we are a podcast, so you can get us once the show is posted wherever it is you get your podcast. Clear? Good? Great. So as I said a minute ago, we do have a pretty good show for you tonight, and we hope that you stick around because we like to try to provide you with some good information, news you can use, as they say. County Commissioner Mick Wright joins me in just a couple of minutes. Now, this is the first time he's been on this show. I've been on this airwave for over 4 years, and we've never had him, but we will have him tonight. A little bit later on, we will be speaking with, the immigration issue is front and center in this country, as your president has said he's going to rid our country of thousands of undocumented immigrants, of course, under the guise of being criminals, of course. But we think that has shifted as well, just to arrest folks and get them out of here. But we're starting to hear more and more about this here in the Memphis and the Mid-South area. So I have invited an immigration attorney on the show to break this down, talk about this, and talk about how concerned folks should be in reference to it. His name is Andrew Rankin, so we'll be talking to him shortly as well. And a little bit later on, we will be speaking with the executive director of a wonderful organization for our young people called Man Up Memphis. Her name is Racheal Shanta, and she will join me a little bit later on in the broadcast to talk about the fine works that they are doing with our young people. We need some positive out here. We hear enough about the negative. We need some positive. So we're going to provide that in reference to her fine program just a little bit later on. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Grammys in just a couple of minutes. But first things first, if you were born today, if this is your trip around the sun, this is the time of the show that we celebrate you. We always want to make sure that you feel special. when times like this come around. And we do that by doing the shout out, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, this is that segment of the broadcast where we shout you out and make sure everybody knows that it is your special day today. But we can't do that until I say, hit it, Bren. Lola's in the warm-up suite. She's in the batter's box. She's getting ready to come in here in just a couple minutes. First things first, Hazel Fant celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Hazel. Tamiko Carter, friend of mine, celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday, Tamiko. Carla Westbrooks Brown, family friend, celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday, Carla. Sharon Foxwell Gwynn celebrating her birthday, and I believe she works for the Memphis Film Commission. Harmony Hall. I'm going to say it's Harmony Hall. Happy birthday to you. Precious Kiefer Poole celebrating today, as is Isaac Bird and Brancha Pitts. Lola.
A very happy birthday to my cousin all the way in Indianapolis, Aquarius Arnold. I love you, Pooh.
We love you, Pooh. Happy birthday all the way from Memphis to Indianapolis. And for all of you out there celebrating a birthday, I hope it's been a day filled with fun and laughter. And we hope to be with you next year as we celebrate your next trip around the sun. Thank you, Bren. All right, a couple of news and notes before we get into the big broadcast tonight. I thought this was interesting. Everybody seems to be talking about the Southern Heritage Classic. Will there or won't there be one this year? Tennessee State University has officially pulled out. They cited financial concerns. You know, if you've been paying attention, Tennessee State University is struggling financially in a pretty big way up there. Fred Jones, the man who is the founder and creator of this classic, offered them $400,000 to come this year. They said no, thank you. They need more. A lot of the complaint last few years started with Jackson State and Deion Sanders when he was here. That $300,000, $350,000 or whatever it was wasn't enough to even they didn't make any money on the back end for spending money on accommodations, on food, on transportation, and everything else trying to get down here for all of this. Tennessee State University has been with this classic since it started in 1990. So this is a rather big blow to where things are right now. Fred, I'm sure, is trying to figure out what and who to bring here. But this is going to be a bit tricky in terms of all of this. First of all, the renovations in the football stadium are going to reduce the number of seats from, I guess, close to 60,000 now to about 40,000. So that's a big dip right there. Secondly, Arkansas Pine Bluff, who signed a 2-year contract, their contract was up last year. Hadn't heard anything about them being invited back this year. Thirdly, Jackson State had a conflict. I don't know if they were thinking about coming back this year or not, but they had a conflict this year, so they can't come back. And now we have TSU, one of the original members, is out of this thing as well. So I know that people look forward to this event each and every year. It is a showcase for the city. It's a financial boom for the city in a lot of ways. So, Fred, you're going to have to come up off the dime, my friend, to try to figure out who you're going to bring in. Who would you like to see come in here? I know a lot of people have thoughts about these kind of things. Who would you like to see coming here for this big football classic hangout get-together game? We'll see what happens. We'll talk about it. I see my aunt is watching on Facebook Live tonight. She is a TSU graduate, so I know she's got some thoughts about all of this as well. Let me go to a story that I thought was really interesting because I don't know that I've ever heard of this before. The former executive director of the Lander Center in South Haven filed a lawsuit against the DeSoto County Board of Supervisors and the Convention and Visitors Bureau. He lost his job about a month or so ago. They fired him, and the CFO as well. Why? And why did he file the lawsuit? Well, they bring a lot of black acts, entertainment acts, to the Lander Center. Many of you who are listening have probably gone to see several concerts that they've had down there, hosted down there. Well, apparently, according to Todd Mastery, who is the former executive director, He was told by members of the Board of Supervisors and the CVB that they did not want to see any more black acts come down there. Now, this goes back to when Little John was first brought here back several years ago. And apparently this has been an issue, an ongoing issue, but I guess the board and the CVB said enough is enough. We don't want to see any more black acts come down here. And if you don't believe me, read the paper. Go to the Daily Memphian. It's right there on the front page. And not only do they not want to see any more black entertainment come down, they don't want to see the folks that come down to watch black entertainment come down to their city either. Now, this is pretty outrageous on several levels, as far as I'm concerned. And we wonder about the state of our country and the mindset of our people when we have this right in our backyard. The folks in South Haven and the mayor has made statements to the effect that if you commit a crime in Memphis and think you're going to come down here to DeSoto County and hang out, you got another thing coming. We will catch you. We will hold you, and you won't be able to go back to Memphis. So, see, we're getting into all of this. Again, I don't know that I've ever heard of a white man filing suit against an organization or against, folks who are in political positions citing civil rights violations. That's what the lawsuit says. Now, I'm sure some of you who are trying to process this may think there's another reason behind it, but if there is another reason behind it, I'd sure like to know what it is. All right, I thought that was very, very interesting. Let me see here. One more story. The saga of MSCS, the Memphis and Shelby County School Board, doesn't stop. It always continues, right? We know the state is prepping themselves and putting bills together to try to take over this system here. But one of the members, board member Keith Williams, is now under investigation after being accused of harassment under Title IX. Apparently, that's a pretty serious allegation and a pretty serious deal. We don't know any of the details yet, but we will stay on top of it and see what happens. That's a look at news and notes. When we come back, we're going to get into the broadcast, and we're going to talk about a few things this evening that you might find interesting. Thank you all for being with us, whether you're listening by radio or whether you're checking us out by Facebook Live. I appreciate it. Let's take a quick break, and we will be right back. Don't go away.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR comes from Mammoth Live, presenting Cake, Friday, April 18th at Bank Plus Amphitheater. A tradition continues with Cake live in concert. Tickets are available now at Ticketmaster.com.
Want to reach a passionate audience who loves Memphis's arts and music scene? Sponsor WYXR and connect your brand with the city's creative community. More information at wyxr.org/sponsorship.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from Arts Memphis, who has invested $94 million into our local arts community to teach, uplift, unite, and engage Memphians of all ages and zip codes.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this beautiful Monday evening in the city. Chip with you. And I'm very happy to have my first guest. You know, I've been doing this show going on 5 years now, and he has never been a guest, but he is tonight, and I'm very happy that he took some time out of his busy schedule to visit with us. Please welcome to the show County Commissioner Mick Wright. And Mick, it's good to see you. How are you this evening?
I am excellent. Thank you so much for having me, and my apologies for my tardiness in joining the program.
You're fine, man. You're absolutely fine. Right on time. And listen, we really appreciate you being here. So I want to talk about a couple of things that I want to get your take on. First, this Memphis and Shelby County School Board issue that has infuriated quite a few people in our community and is still on top of mind for many. We have seen the threat from the state to come down here and take over this operation in some way, shape, or form. As the county commission, you all put together a no confidence. What do you call it? Whatever it is, the document that basically said you had no confidence in how they were moving forward and what they were doing. And you got some pushback from the folks on the Memphis and Shelby County School Board. First of all, what is your take on what has happened and how they did business in removing Dr. Fagans?
Yeah, I think first and foremost that just the fact that it was such a rushed process, that the board really didn't give the public a chance to weigh in, to ask questions. They just went from 0 to 100, and they didn't bring us along in their way of thinking. Just wanted to drop termination right in our laps, and they did so in a special called meeting. They did so the week before Christmas, when most of us are usually not paying attention. And I think all of that, the rushing, the failure to communicate, that really made everything so much worse. So, would we have been willing to listen and hear some of the concerns that certain board members have? I think absolutely, but certainly not the way that they went about this.
Yeah, I think that is a universal thought that you just had. I mean, the way it was done, how it was done, and half the board didn't even know about it in the whole 9 yards. And I think the biggest issue with this, and I think you can relate to this more than other folks, is being a public official, is that there was no attention paid at all in this process to the public's will. I mean, public sentiment was strongly behind Dr. Fagans each of these meetings, and I mean, the board basically ignored it with a 6-3 vote. And I really think that really got to a lot of folks. And I think maybe in a way, it took some of the confidence out from the public in saying, you know what, we voted for you all to represent us in these various, whether it was the city council, county commission, school board, what have you, and, to listen to our legitimate concerns. And you laid it out nicely by saying they didn't do that at all. The vote of no confidence from you, what was the message you were trying to send there? I mean, it's obviously, that you didn't appreciate how it was done, but was that basically it in terms of that?
Yeah, I think it was primarily just the rushing of the process, but also we had a lot of affection for Dr. Fagans. She was turning things around. She had our support. She had instilled a lot of hope both in the public and in teachers and in our board as well. We had a sense of openness with the district for the first time in a while, and there was just a lot of hope and energy around things finally starting to change. Everyone had agreed, it seemed like last year, that changes needed to be made, that after a 2-year search process that we were finally happy to rally around this new leader, and really asked her to make some tough changes, some changes that we knew in advance were going to be hard to make. We knew the central office needed to be slimmed down. We knew resources needed to get into the classroom. And so all of those things were, issues that she basically campaigned for the job on and won the job because she laid those things out.
So let's talk about what the next possible steps are in the process. We do have an interim superintendent, Dr. Rod Richmond, at the helm now. But more importantly, the state has made it very clear that they need to intercede in this and they need to fix it. There are many suggestions that have been made in reference to how to do just that. I know that there are being bills are being drafted right now in Nashville in reference to this and in reference to what House Speaker Cameron Sexton said he wanted to do in terms of a quote unquote nuclear option. What's your take on the state possibly coming in here to intervene in this process?
Yeah, that was certainly not my first desire, not something that I wanted to see happen, and I don't think the public wanted to see that happen either. I think all of us support our local representatives, our local school board members. We want a direct say in what happens in our school system, our school district. But I think something was fundamentally broken. We lost that sense of public trust with the board. They started to make decisions and moves in special called meetings without consulting us. And I think when they did that, all of a sudden we became open to asking for the state's, some kind of intervention. And I still don't know exactly what that will look like. I think maybe the state isn't even sure yet what that will look like. But I do think there are a lot of things that we could do, either to give some more oversight, some more accountability to the board, either at the county commission level. Certainly the state could, but at the end of the day, the state really has all the power. And that's what we tried to get through to these school board members is look at this decision that you're making. You're doing so knowing that the state's watching and they don't want you to move forward. But they decided to go ahead anyway.
Yeah, I think this legislative oversight, especially from Nashville, is disturbing to a lot of people. And I don't really know that many of us understand exactly what it would mean if the state did intercede in whatever way it is that they want to intercede. And I've even had some legislators tell me that you don't want that to happen. I mean, you're a local municipality. You ought to be able to handle your own business. If the state has to come in and control this thing from 200 miles away based on who they put on the board or whatever else they made decisions that they're making, that's a pretty drastic thing. We'll have to keep an eye on it going forward. In terms of county commission business, what are some of the things that you all are focused on right now? What are you looking at as we, barely into another year as time moves along?
Yeah, I would say with regard to this, we're just getting started on our reaction to the school board. Like you said, we did pass a vote of no confidence in the board. We also came back later that week with a request that they hold some town hall meetings in their districts to engage the public. I think because they ignored us and they ignored the public and they ignored the state, now we're taking the next steps, which is coming up on our agenda Wednesday. We have a resolution that's been sponsored by 4 commissioners that are asking for a forensic audit or getting that process started so that we have some insight into what's happening with the district and the district's finances. We are also, pursuing some things regarded to recall. And that's one of the things that we learned because of this process. I learned that school board members were not subject to a recall. So that's something I'm looking at as well.
Yeah, that's a biggie. I know G.A. Hardaway, State Representative Hardaway, brought that up, and that there was no legislation enacted and through the state for either state or local elected officials to be recalled. And of course, after this decision came down from the school board, everybody was hollering about recall. We want you out. We don't want you here. You're not going to listen to us, and we don't need to listen to you. So that's a very, very big deal. Now, listen, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. We heard something last 3 days in reference to Shelby County Clerk Wanda Halbert. I guess something having to do with the wheel tax that was enacted, I guess, by you all last year, and apparently has not been charged to individuals who are renewing their tags, which means that we are looking at maybe some problems in terms of the budget. Kind of lay that out for me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's very fitting because we just celebrated Groundhog Day yesterday. Yeah. And so what you're talking about there is something that has repeated. It was actually the city council that raised the city of Memphis wheel tax.
Right.
I guess they doubled it, and so that was back I guess about a year ago that they did that. And I know for a fact, because I speak with the city council members, I know that they told her in advance that that was coming. But Clerk Halbert once again failed to, make that initiated in the system. And so she didn't collect. And what that means is now the city of Memphis has a $7 million hole in their budget, just like the county did a year before that. And that, what that means is $7 million. That could be a community center. That could be, first responder vehicles. That could be any number of services that just simply are not going to be available because of her negligence. And time again, I know I'm sort of a broken record on my social media and so forth about her, but it's just been one thing after another. And that's why I keep saying we really need to take care of what, what's in the law for us to do is to pursue ouster proceedings. And right now that's with the appeals court.
Yeah, we heard about that. That's been brought up again in terms of what happens down the road in the future. How would you say? What would be your opinion, Mick, on the fiscal health of the county as a whole, even in spite of some of the potholes that we have been dealing with? How would you say things are going, and especially fiscally, for our county?
Yeah, I'd say it's been a really wild few years. I took office in 2018, and I was thinking, I know what my priorities are. It's very simple. It's about public safety. It's about education. And it's about growing our economy and jobs. Those were my priorities. But I always knew that we'd get a curveball. And sure enough, a couple years into my first term was a global pandemic.
Right.
And so everything that came from that, of course, there was a lot of federal funding that came in, but also inflation. And so you had sort of dueling pressures with that, as well as opioid lawsuit, funding. So there's been a lot of unusual events over the last few years that have kind of clouded the overall picture. But I would say, in general, the county finances are pretty sound. Our debt has been remaining flat. We can cover our bills, which is what you want to do at the end of the day, and we've not had to raise taxes.
Well, that's a good thing. So it sounds like everything is kind of, going par for the course right now. Listen, man, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes to come on the show tonight. We've never had you, and I'm really glad that you came on to sort of break some things down for us this evening. And I hope, even though this is your first visit, that it won't be your last visit to our little show here. I really appreciate you coming. Thank you so much.
Thanks again. Have a good evening.
You too, man. Thank you. County Commissioner Mick Wright, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Some very honest and forthright comments about what is going on with the Memphis and Shelby County schools. And a lot of us are still shaking our heads and scratching our heads as to what all that was about. And more importantly, what's to come? That's the big question. What happens next? Is there going to be a recall issue on the ballot? And it's not going to be done just for the school board. It's going to be done for elected officials, whether you're state or local, down the road. Should that pass, is the state going to come in here and take over? We just don't know yet. But we thank County Commissioner Mick Wright for joining me on the broadcast. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to shift gears and talk about something that is top of mind for a lot of people, especially here in Memphis and the Mid-South: immigration. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. You know who you are. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Want to make a big impact without getting lost in a big system? Join youth villages to be a force for families while becoming part of one. Help make positive changes on a national scale, one community at a time. It takes a family to transform lives. Start with yours. You can apply at youthvillages.org/careers.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this beautiful Monday evening in the city. Chip with you, and glad that you are with us, if you are with us this evening. Now, my next guest is someone who is an expert in his field. We have heard and we have seen, and we heard it during the campaign, that the current president is on a mission for undocumented immigrants. We here in Memphis and the Mid-South have a pretty healthy immigrant population here. And right now, many of them are being threatened with being deported, sent back to their own countries, the whole 9 yards. Now, first, this was all about criminals, the murderers, and rapists, and drug dealers, and the whole 9 yards. That from the mouth of the president, but it seems to have morphed into something more than that. And I wanted to bring on someone who could talk a little bit about this. Please welcome to the show Andrew Rankin, Esquire. He is an immigration attorney, and he's graciously allowed us a few minutes of his time to talk with him. Andrew, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chip, for inviting me. Happy to discuss this.
This is a big deal now, and it is becoming very apparent that there is a serious effort afoot to remove a lot of folks who have been here for maybe long periods of time, even though undocumented, family members, whole 9 yards. Last week, I think Friday, the schools got into this in terms of the Memphis and Shelby County schools sending home notices to parents about the fear that many people have, and I would think it's legitimate, about what could happen down the road. From your perspective and what you're seeing now, and I'm sure that you're hearing a whole lot more, how scared are folks about this?
Very afraid. Very, very afraid. Since about a week after the election, the nature of my consultations have changed. Whenever someone calls, I always ask them, what do you want to come talk about? And the most common response now is, I'm very afraid what can happen to me or my family, and I just want to know if I'm going to be okay. But they're saying it with obvious fear in their voice. So they're not, I'm sure they're seeking legal assistance because they really want to be legal here, but the fear right now is weighing more than their desire to have papers, which is something I've never seen before in my career.
Based on what you are hearing from the federal government side of things, is it warranted, their fear?
To an extent, and this is kind of shocking to some people coming from an immigration attorney, but the answer that I give is actually quite simple. Whenever you are examining an issue, the solution never lies at an extreme. It never does, whether we're talking about law or something else. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking to solve any issue, whether it's undocumented migration, or something that's not having anything to do with law, the minute you take something to an extreme, you're going to have unintended consequences. So for example, I have no problem getting rid of people with dangerous criminal history. I don't want American citizens with that criminal history walking my street, possibly affecting me or my family. But by the same token, does that mean we snatch a Guatemalan mother off the street when she has 6 kids and is a single mother who isn't harming anyone? Does that mean she gets treated the same way as the gentleman with, 9 rape convictions?
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point. We've heard incidents around the country. I heard one that was an 85-year-old man that was taken from his family, I think up in Chicago or somewhere in this country. And some of these and had been in this country 30, 40 years, and so I think that a lot of people really are. There's a panic in the immigration community in reference to all of this. What do you have to say about the fact that the schools are sort of being put into play here, and that the school board felt it necessary to send home, I guess, because of the questions and the concerns and the fears that ICE may come to a school campus in and around here, and may start pulling people out? What do you what is there some legitimacy to any of that at all?
Yeah, this is one of the areas where pre-election I said, I hope I'm not right about this. This comes, there's a little bit of a background here. Prior to the current administration, ICE had something called its sensitive areas policy. Mm-hmm. And that limited enforcement operations in or around schools, daycares, houses of worship, except in exigent circumstances like hot pursuit or immediate danger to the public. But now the current administration has rolled it back. So, for example, there is nothing wrong now with ICE surrounding a Hispanic church where they know a lot of Hispanics congregate and asking everybody for papers. Like, under their own interpretation, they can do that now. Mm. The same thing with schools. So I think the fear is justified. And I was saying this to somebody else. The fear is justified the higher up the hierarchy you go in the school system. I really don't think that Immigration and Customs Enforcement is going to conduct large-scale operations at an elementary school and pull 6-year-olds out of classes. Mm. I really don't think that's going to happen. But could I see targeted enforcement operations for the 18-year-old with a late birthday who's still in high school, or for the 17-year-old juvenile who has a very lengthy criminal record? Absolutely. Absolutely, I can see it. But by the same token, I think it's important that everyone understand that ICE cannot just roll up into a high school and say, let us in because we're the federal government. Mm-hmm. If they show up and they want to access non-public areas of the school, for example, a classroom where children are under instruction, they have to have a judicial warrant. They cannot show up with their ICE paperwork that is just for the body of the person. If they want to go in search of that person, they have to have the appropriate documentation to comply with the Fourth Amendment to the federal Constitution.
That's very interesting. In terms of breaking this down, most of the people that you deal with, Andrew, are coming to you and asking you things, and I obviously imagine the first thing they say, what do we do? What do we do? Do we have a reason to be scared? I mean, what is the advice that you're giving folks who are coming to you with genuine concerns about being separated from their families?
To have a plan, there are people. I met with a gentleman this morning who, with tears in his eyes, walked out of my office because there was nothing I could do for him. He didn't qualify for anything under our laws. But in those types of situations, it's to have a plan. Do you have, for example, if you have children, might you consider power of attorney or a limited guardianship? If you have assets, houses, cars, and the like, might you want to make alternate arrangements for those assets in your absence? The time for action is not when you're in the ICE processing center frantically calling your loved one or your attorney, figuring out what to do. It's having a plan now and just hoping to God you never have to rely on it.
Speaking of planning, was this process, this national process that the president has put in place, in your estimation, was it well planned at all? I mean, I know it's like, go get them. It's like, go get them, go find them, go arrest them, go send them back to the country of their origin, and the whole 9 yards. There's apparently there's a quota of people that they're supposed to be removing or arresting or detaining every day. Was this plan, from your professional perspective, thought out in any kind of way that makes sense to you?
It was certainly planned out better than the first one. I think that this is really important for those who were around during Trump 1.0. During the first administration, the policies were haphazard. They were issued without notice, and a lot of Trump 1.0's policies were enjoined in litigation. So no doubt his advisors told him, Mr. President, you cannot do this the same way if you expect to really crack down on immigration. So a lot of these policies have been thought out with delayed effective dates to allow people to prepare and drafted with more careful language. Now, that said, most of his policies are going to still be challenged. But the administration is obviously hoping that their more careful approach will result in more victories in court than they had the last time. So without question, it was more carefully planned out than from 2017 to 21.
You mentioned it too. I was going to ask you about the legal challenges that people have in reference to this. I mean, he's trying to get Guantanamo Bay opened and used as a detention center. When you hear that, your mind absolutely goes to, what's he thinking here? Well, we're talking about a detention center that holds 30,000 people, and he wants to have that to lock up half these people. I read today that a lot of people who have been, quote unquote, detained have been released back into the United States. And I don't know if that has to do with their legal perspective or what they need to do, what they've done in terms of all of this. But again, it makes this thing sound like, this rush to judgment and that they're just trying to, get numbers to say we got numbers and we got rid of folks. For people out there who might be listening to you talk right now, what is the thing? You said they need to be prepared. They need to be planning right now, having conversations, getting the paperwork in order. Those are the essential things that people need to do that you would suggest right now? No?
I would add one more thing, Chip, is be careful from whom you take your assistance. And there are people in times of crisis. It happens every time, whether it's Hurricane Katrina, whether it's Hurricane Helene, whether it's the fires in California, whether it's immigration crackdown. Anytime there's a crisis, there's going to be people who prey on the vulnerable.
Right.
And so to those who are worried about their situation, it is important and critical for your own safety and for the safety of your family that you seek reputable assistance. If you cannot verify that someone's an attorney, then you should not be going to them for assistance. Every state in the country has an attorney directory where you can search whether someone is a licensed attorney and whether that license is active. And also, you can ask whether they have immigration experience. And if they don't, you're going to get bad advice. So not just planning, but from whom you seek your assistance. If you get bad advice, you're going to rely on it and you're going to make your situation worse. Yeah. So make sure you're not getting scammed when you arrange any kind of consultation. That would be something I would add to the planning discussion we had earlier.
Excellent advice, excellent counsel. Andrew Rankin, Esquire, immigration attorney. Thank you, man, for coming on the show and addressing this issue head on, because a lot of folks have more questions than answers, and they're going to need all the help they can get. I really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anytime, Chip. Stay well.
You too, my friend. Thank you. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is someone who knows what he's talking about, and you need to pay attention. And you need to watch what is going on, and you need to rely, most importantly, on someone you can trust. Great interview. We're going to take a final break, and when we come back, we're going to shift gears, and we still have a little bit more to go. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you like real talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real It's real talk. It's real talk.
Riverbeat Music Festival is coming to Tom Lee Park May 2nd through 4th, featuring artists including Missy Elliott, The Killers, Anderson .Paak and the Free Nationals, and more. The full lineup, ticket packages, and more are available at riverbeat.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to the big broadcast. You know, if you listen to this broadcast any period of time, I love talking to people who are making a difference in our community and by making folks better. And I have someone joining me now who does just that. Racheal Shanta is the executive director of, and I love the title of her organization, Man Up Memphis, and it is an empowerment program for our young folks. And I saw her story, and I wanted to invite her on the show to talk about this and how important it is in our community. Racheal, I know you're headed to the ball game. I really appreciate you taking some time to talk with me this evening. How are you tonight?
I'm feeling great. What about yourself? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for accepting the invitation. I'm doing well also. And listen, for those who don't know, tell us about Man Up Memphis, why you started this organization and why it is so vitally important to our community.
Absolutely. So I received a master's in urban, city, and regional planning. And what that is a degree in city planning, right? Or being a part of any bigger picture than yourself. And going through these classes, I really learned how to build a community and how it helps a city become better in just the economic development of these cities. And from there, I saw how certain individuals were falling between the cracks, but these systems were built on their backs. And it put a burden on my heart. And I started to do an event back in May of last year of just putting mental health professionals in front of the community,
right?
Leaning to my network of family and friends and ask them to take on the monetary burden of putting psychiatrists, counselors, and therapists in front of the community just to see how we could start to bring a easier conversation like mental health and the stigmas around it, because it's such a very serious conversation to have. It's just like money, right? People don't like to talk about money, but they need it.
Right.
And same thing about mental health. So from there, we did this event, and it was well received. And I had so many different organizations and schools and stuff reach out and wanted me to bring a program to them. I was like, this was really a one-time thing, but you know, God be having other things for us. So here we are, Man Up Memphis. We work with individuals from 11 to 25. Mm-hmm. We help them develop their mental health, financial literacy, and their interpersonal skills. Not so much like traditional nonprofits where it's workforce readiness. It's more on how to be a strategic thinker, right? So let's not make permanent decisions off of temporary feelings. Like, let's really think through our decisions that we make, because they really, truly do matter. So every decision you make has a good and bad counterpart to it. Everything. It could be good or bad. Mm-hmm. So let's just think it through.
You know, that is that's well thought out and it's well put. You know, mental health is something that for a very long time we didn't hear a lot about. And a lot of people didn't want to talk about it. It was something that was kept in the closet. The range that you work with from a child to a young adult, it's a pretty big span there. And also, there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of growing up. There's a lot of maturity. There's a lot of thought about this, that, or the other. But this whole issue of mental health in and of itself, Racheal, how important is it for us to dig in deeper? It seems like more organizations are starting to dig in deeper on this, but how where do you place that's importance?
I think so in the state of Tennessee, right? Well, just let me say it this way. We do target individuals from 11 to 25, but it's broken down into groups. Mm. So you have your adolescents, your young adults, your young adults, and then actual adults is coming into it. So it's three different mindsets, right?
Right.
But In the state of Tennessee alone, there's almost 1 million adults that are facing some type of mental health issue, along with about 960,000 young children under the age of 17 that are facing these things. We're talking about bipolar, schizophrenia, PTSD, just depression, anxiety, of these different things. And a lot of the times, people who are facing mental health issues are struggling with, number one, finances. That's why it's the second pillar for us. But not only just that, just knowing that there's resources out there to let them be able to tell their story their way, right? Because there's a lot of organizations that are there to help, but they make you feel like they're helping you, like you're one of the hungry children in Africa. Like, no, it's not like that. Like, you don't understand that my everyday is me living in trauma, and I don't know I'm living in trauma. And I don't need you to tell me I'm living in trauma. I need you to hear my voice. I need you to see me for who I am. And so, as a person that has went through and still goes through therapy, I'm easier to say I'm not a part of the mental health world. I'm not, my schooling isn't that. My background is construction. So I'm really truly building something for the people, by the people, because we are the people.
Does, in your estimation, is and you doing this and understanding this this process, does poverty play a role, or should I say, how big a role does poverty play in the mindset of many people, that even some that you might deal with?
Absolutely. Benjamin Franklin said it the best: poverty is the mother to all crime. So it plays a very big. It plays so much, because if you have to try to figure out where you're going to lay your head, where you're going to get your food from, or even just trying to be able to afford something, yes, you're going to go out here and you're in this survival mode. When you're living in survival mode, you don't think about your decisions you're making. You're thinking about right there and then, I need this, I got to get this, and this is it. I'm not worried about 30 minutes from now.
Yeah, that's powerful in reference to what you said. And I was also thinking about the financial literacy component of all of this as well. We have a lot of pressure. A lot of people have a lot of different pressures in this life, be it economic, be it, work related, job related, a lot of pressure, a lot of anxiety that folks go through, but it sounds to me like your organization is saying, you know what, we all have challenges in life. Nobody's exempt from any of this. But it's not that we have challenges, it's how we accept those challenges and how we can actually move forward and be successful in life. Am I correct in that?
You're absolutely right. So in our financial literacy pillar program, it is a 16-week program where we go through and we teach people the difference between a bank and a credit union. And a lot of times people try to tell you need one or the other. You actually need both, because they do two different things in your life, right? Mm-hmm. So then we talk about what credit management is and debt management is, because everybody wants to live debt free. But let me tell you something, having a car, having a house, that is debt. You're making a promissory note to a bank saying, I agree to pay my mortgage every month. I agree to pay my car note every month. And along with those two bills that you've agreed to come other bills, insurance, materials, equipment for the house. So we talk about how to manage those things, right? Because there is such a thing as good debt. We talk about predatory lending. Talk about payday loans. We talk about how to avoid those things. So we go through and we teach the things that you don't learn in a schooling system, that you may not have learned from your parents because they didn't know those things. Oh, and that's the other thing that we do over here at Main Up Memphis, right? Because I believe in a community and a support system will help you thrive, not survive. As long as we have an individual in the programming from 11 to 25 and then family want help too, the household, you'll get it with us too. So therefore, you can have someone in the house that's learning. You guys can grow together and hold each other accountable, because there's no need for someone who's 16 trying to figure out how to manage their bills and their older brother or their mom don't know how to do those things. Now they don't feel comfortable or confident to continue to learn these things because their environment is not helping them thrive.
Finally, if someone who's listening to this right now wants to know more about your organization, please let them know how they can do that.
Yes, you can definitely give us a call at 901-290-7226. That's again 290-7226. Our office admin will give you a call back and we'll get you set up.
Racheal Chantel, ladies and gentlemen, the executive director, founder of Main Up Memphis, and extraordinary program. Kudos and congratulations on what you're doing, helping so many folks out there. Enjoy the ball game tonight. I guess I should say, in your case, go Grizz, right, tonight?
That's right. And if anyone never hears from me again, y'all, it takes nothing to be kind and respectful to the next person. It literally takes not a doggone thing out of you than to just be kind and respectful. Just treat people good and they'll treat you good too.
Amen to that. Thank you, Racheal, so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you. Take good care of yourself, okay?
Thank you. Until next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was good stuff. That's how you end the broadcast with all of the darkness that we see and feel and think about on a daily basis. You know, there are folks out here doing the work. And that is why they need to be showcased, and that's why I try to do that kind of thing as well. Before we get out of here, the Grammys were last night for anybody who was paying attention, and Lola is our resident music expert around here, and I asked her earlier what she thought of the show last night overall. She thought it was pretty good. She didn't have a problem like some folks did that Beyonce won Best Album of the Year for the country album. But big ups to Kendrick Lamar, right? Lois nodding her head and saying, and Doechii, whoever. Yeah, I think I remember that kind of stuff. I learned something. Brent, play me out. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of the broadcast tonight. Doechii, shout out to Doechii. Yeah, shout out to you all for checking us out tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks to all my guests tonight. Real informative show. Good stuff tonight. Memphis, I couldn't do this without you. I need you to continue to support what we do each and every Monday night. If you like what we do and you appreciate what we do, go out and tell somebody. The more we know, the more we grow. So for all of us here, for lovely Lola, and for Bran, who's, come on Lola, say goodbye. You saw the drive-by, right? You saw that was Lola behind me. And for Bran, and for yours truly, thank you for being a part of what we do each and every Monday night. Have a wonderful week. Be safe out there. There she goes. And be careful. And until then, we are out. Talk to you soon.